What's up, guys? Orcas here, and today we got another video. Today we got a lot of news to cover because it's been a while since I've done one of these videos in the NASCAR space, and it's also been a while since I've made a video. I know, this is honestly I might have to make like a post about this, but it's getting to be a busy time in my life right now. There's a lot that I have going on that I'm not going to specifically share, but just know that's a busy time in my life right now. I'm actually not living at home right now. If you guys remember, I used to I used to do a job that somewhere different. I was living in a dorm. I'm living in a dorm right now, and well, basically, I'm kind of doing college right now, and it's basically like a full-time job. It's a lot of work, a lot of studying, a lot of doing other things. So it's kind of not really possible to make videos while I'm doing that. But whenever I have the chance, I will try to make videos, and hopefully, I'm able to do them. But I'll have more information maybe in a post, but just so you know, it might this time for at least a few months, it might be harder for me to make videos, even on things normally I would make videos on, like weekly NASCAR races. Sometimes I might not be able to make a video regarding those races. So especially when we get into the swing of things in February with the Daytona 500, and other things. I will make a video for the Daytona 500. I know that I will have time to make a video for the Daytona 500. That is for sure. But for some other races, I might not. And for you guys who watch my Star Wars videos, I might not be able to make Star Wars videos for a long time. And especially since it's already slowed down as well. So, and there's not really much stuff coming out soon. But we'll just wait and see. We'll wait and see what happens. But yeah, for the next few months, I might not be able to make as much videos or, sometimes any videos regarding certain things. So yeah, just wanted to put that out there. But anyways, it's not an announcement video. Today is a NASCAR news video. If you didn't really need to hear that, you could have skipped to here. But yeah, we got a lot of NASCAR news to talk about. I did make a video when this came out because this came out exactly a week ago, actually, Monday. Last week, Monday. Today is Monday, the week after, as I'm making this video. But if you guys watched NASCAR from what was it, like 2004 to like 2014 or something like that, you guys were probably well familiar with something called the chase format. And after a little while, they reverted to what was known as a playoff format. But now they're bringing it back. The chase for the championship is officially back. We have the chase format. So if you guys were familiar with that, it's a little bit different now. Like, it's a little bit advanced. But the chase format was essentially a 10-race chase for the championship. So you had the regular season, and the top 10 drivers with the most points went into the final 10 races to win the championship. So the 10 best drivers with 10 races, all of their points were reset. So it was the 10 best drivers racing 10 races for the championship. Again, all their points reset, and it was just whoever was the best through those 10 races ended up winning the championship. And as you guys know, Jimmy Johnson was one of the drivers that basically defined the chase era. I mean, he win like five or six chase championships, and maybe that was one of the reasons why NASCAR made a playoff format and went away from the chase format and didn't go back to the Winston format, the full season points format. But again, like I said, this is a little bit modified, the new chase format. So I mean, this was kind of in play when the original chase was a thing, but win in you're in is out. Like, there's no win in you're in to get to the 16 drivers. That's another thing. But there's no win in you're in to get into the chase format for the final 10 races. wins matter more. So I think when they did last year and like for most of the playoff format, or if all of it, I think wins only were 40 points, maybe 45, and now they're 55. So a big jump for wins. So wins definitely matter a lot more now in order to get into the chase, and when you're in the chase. So let's say you're in the chase, you're in the 10 races in the chase, and you win a race that's in the chase, you get 55 points for a win. That's not even counting stage points, because stage points still matter. I'm assuming it's still 10 points if you win a race. So if you win a race and you win 2 stages, that is 75 points. That is a great amount of points. I think it was, if it was 40 points for a win, I'm pretty sure it was only 40 points for a win, because I think I remember, like, it was like Briscoe or something. I think he won both stages at Pocono, and then, or like both stages at Darlington, and then he won the race and he got like 60 points. Now you get 75 points if you sweep a race. You win the race and you win like both stages, or Charlotte has 3 stages and then a final stage. If you won at Charlotte, you would get 85 points. So a lot more points are on the board, and if you win a race in the chase and you're in the chase, that is a lot of points for you. So wins definitely matter a lot more in this format. And like I did say, winning you're in is out, so no driver can win their way in to the chase. It's all about points. So winning definitely matters for sure. Like, wins are a lot of points, and if you have 2 wins and maybe you're not as consistent as someone who only has 1 win, maybe the points you got for those 2 wins, like 55 points, that could be the difference between you making it in over a driver that only has 1 win but maybe had a better average finish than you or something like that. So wins definitely matter more, but like I said, it's not a win and you're in, so we're not going to have another Austin Dillon or Harrison Burton situation, or someone that for most of the season you could definitely say didn't deserve to be in the playoffs. We're not going to have any of that. So it's going to be the 16 drivers basically that are the most consistent, who grab the most points throughout the season, including wins, including like top 5, top 10 finishes, getting a lot of stage points. That's what's going to matter, not just 1 win. Doesn't matter how you did the rest of the season, and then you're in the playoffs, So it's definitely, I think that aspect is a lot better. Again, I was one of the people that defended a playoff format. Like, I didn't mind a playoff format, but one of the criticisms I did have about the playoff format was someone like Harrison Burton or Austin Dillon making the playoffs just because they won 1 race. I think, just because you win 1 race, that doesn't mean you should be able to contend for a championship, because some people, like, I don't know, like a Chris Buescher, Ryan Preece, Bubba Wallace 2024, Ross Chastain 2024, and a lot of other drivers that were really consistent throughout the season and had decent to good finishes. I think those drivers deserve to make the playoffs over someone like Austin Dillon, or, even Daniel Suarez actually in like 2024 when he won Atlanta, and then Harrison Burton, of course. But so I think the chase definitely rewards more consistency throughout the year to make the playoffs versus someone that just gets a win but it's like less than 25th in points and stuff like that. I definitely like that. But like I said, 16 drivers versus 10. So the original chase format, you only had 10 drivers in the field. So I think, well, not in the field, but 10 drivers in the chase for the championship. But now it's going to be 16 drivers. So the 16 best drivers in points are going to be contending for a championship in the final 10 races. Now, there is a difference, because unlike what it was in the early 2000s and the, early 2000s to late 2000s to early 2010s, when the 10 drivers made it in, all of their points were reset. They all started at 0. They were at the same amount of points to win a championship. But this time, it's a little bit different. So, if you are the regular season championship, you're first, obviously. But there is rewards for winning the regular season championship. If you win the regular season championship, you have 25 more points going into the chase than second place. That's actually really good. That's even more than what they were getting for the playoff format. I can't remember what the bonus was if you won the regular season championship. I don't remember how many points you got for that. But if you win the regular season championship, you have 25 more points than second and 100 points over 16th place. Now, honestly, like 50 points for a win, that's a lot, but you got to remember, like, that might not matter in the long run because, like, say 16th gets a win, like they get 55 points, but the person in first, like the regular season champion, first in points, they could still have a good race. They could still have a really good race, and the gap from 16th to first could still be pretty decently big, because like let's say the person in 16th place won the race, they get 55 points, but they get no stage points. They still get 55 points. But let's say the person who won the regular season is in first, they got a lot of stage points and finished the race at a good position. They might still have a lot of points, let's say like 40 something. That would mean only 16th place only gets like 10 to 15 more points than them. They're still like 80 to 90 points back on the first place driver. And then who knows what happens in the next race. So yeah, first place does have a decent lead on a lot of the drivers below them. Like I said, 25 more points than second, and then obviously it probably goes maybe like 30 to third or something like that, or like 40 points on fourth place. I didn't look at it completely. All I saw was that it was 25 more points than second and 100 points above 16th, but still, that's a very big reward for winning the regular season championship. So yeah, you would think the person that's been most consistent during the first 26 races of the season, yeah, they definitely should get rewarded, and it shouldn't just be a reset or something like that, or only like a few points ahead of like second and third. If you win the regular season championship, that definitely matters. And then the next 10 races, let's hope you can still take that consistently, still have that consistency over the guys that were under you, like second, third, fourth, and fifth in points. And it would be an absolute miracle if 16th place, gained 100 points over first and everyone else and was able to win the regular season champion or the whole championship. That would be crazy. I don't think we're ever going to see that. I don't know how long this playoff, or chase format or format in general to win the championship is going to be in place. The playoff format that we just had was in place for over a decade, so maybe we'll see this format be in place for over a decade, which would be a long time because, you guys know me, I started watching like in 2023, but I didn't watch all the races. I still watched it though, so I watched 3 years of NASCAR with the playoff format where when you're in one race championship, stuff like that. So this will be interesting. This will be very interesting. I can't wait to see how it works out. Hopefully it does work pretty well. But yeah, I think this is a step up from the playoff format that we had. Like you guys, maybe if you watch my video, you guys might have seen that I thought we were just going to get a modified playoff format, like maybe, a three races for the championship. We'd still have eliminations. That's another thing. There's no eliminations in the chase format. It's all 16 drivers battling out until the final race, and whoever has the most points wins. No one's eliminated in any rounds. There's no rounds like a round of 16, round of 12, round of 8, and then the championship 4. There's none of that. No eliminations or anything like that. No one race or 3 race for the championship. It's just 10 races. 10 races after the regular season, and whoever is the most consistent, or whoever can hold their own the most, wins the championship. And like I said, first place has a 25-point cushion on second. So if first place in the regular season can just stay consistent in the playoffs, maybe get a couple wins there, get some good stage points, get good finishes, they should be able to safely win the championship. But if they have slip-up races, people in like second, third, and even fifth could catch them for sure. So they got to hope first place doesn't have or they have to hope first place slips up a little bit, and first place has to hope that he can just be as consistent as he was in the regular season, and stay on top. But if they slip up, someone behind them could take it from them. So I definitely agree with this format. I mean, I think it works. I don't. The one thing I don't agree with is I don't think we needed 16 drivers in the chase. I think 12 or 14 would have worked better. I think that would have been a little better because, like, what are the odds that 16th or 15th in points is going to win the championship? Not very high. But I think if you take like 12 drivers, I think 12 would probably have been the best option. I think 12 drivers would have been a better option, but instead they chose to keep 16 like they did in the playoff format. But when it was a chase format, it was 10 drivers, so way less drivers than it is now. And in some ways, yeah, I kind of wish there were less drivers. I think 12 would have been better. I think 12 drivers would have been better. 14 maybe, but I think there should have been less drivers than 16 because I just don't think I don't think it's necessary is what I'm trying to say, because like I just feel like there's no way that 16th or 15th, even 14th would be able to make it, would be able to win the championship. Like they're just too far off of first place and like even like the top 5 or something like that. I don't agree with 16. I don't think they would have a chance. But hey, it's I think it's still I get maybe an argument about it. It gives more opportunity for more drivers to be in the chase, more sponsorship, more money for them, more money for the teams and stuff like that. I get it, but I just don't think it was necessary to have 16 drivers. But I get it, from the team's perspective, for the drivers' perspectives. But for a competition perspective, I just don't think it makes much sense. But it's a little bit of a nitpick for the most part. I really like this. I would give this format like A tier, honestly, because like it still rewards the best drivers in the regular season. Like I said, first has 25 more points than second, and then second in points has more points off of third, and then so on and so forth. So I think it rewards the regular season very well, but still gives a lot of meaning to the final 10 races of the season, because there's still opportunity for drivers that aren't first in points to catch up to who is first in points and maybe take it away from them in a fair way. So yeah, I like it. I do. I like this format. A lot of people still wanted the full season championship, all 36 races. There's no chase. There's no playoffs. It's just everyone battling it out every race. And maybe like someone goes on a crazy run where like 20 races into the season and first place is like a million points ahead of second, and they basically got locked for the championship win. Like, stuff like that. I get it, but I think this makes for more entertainment. I think it makes it, so it's not locked up so early. And I get it. This isn't a stick and ball sports. Like it doesn't matter your record. Like you could be a what was it now? 17 teams, something like, or 17 games in the NFL. And like just because you have the most wins in football doesn't mean you're the best team and you automatically win the championship. And I get it. Racing isn't like that. Like racing is not the same as stick and ball sports like hockey, NBA, stuff like that. Where anyone can win, stuff like that. But in a way, I kind of resonate more with that because I used to be a football fan. Like before I was a NASCAR fan, I've always been a football fan, and I've watched a lot of NBA as well. So it just made sense for me. Like even if you're the 1 seed and you've won the most races in the regular season, once you get to the playoffs, you could lose to like the 7th seed, and that's it. You're done. And so to bring that into NASCAR, like, again, there's the people like, oh no, they've been the best throughout the whole season. They should be able to win the championship, even if it's like 10 races before the season ends. Like, I kind of get it, but at the same time, it's like no other sports are like that, also a lot of the sports are the same. Like it's the same for the NFL, it's the same for the NBA, NHL, like all the sports that I've grown to know, MLB as well, soccer. So it's like, yeah, I mean, it just makes sense to me that like you don't have it that way. But again, I didn't grow up with NASCAR where, the Winston Cup was a thing, where, it was just all races. Whoever has the most points by all the races is the winner. There's no playoff stuff like that. I never like resonated with that. So yeah, I don't know. I like it though. So I agree with it. And I think it's going to be a great first season with it. We'll see how it goes, but I think this is a step in the right direction. And I think it's a good compromise for the playoff fans, for the full season points fans, and for the people that like the chase format when it was a thing. For those whose favorite format was the chase format, I bet they're pretty happy right now. And then there's, again, like I said, modifications where it's now 16 drivers in it. There's no full reset of points, like all drivers have 0 and it's whoever gets the most points in the 10 races. No, is whatever you did in the regular season still counts for something, like I said, with first having 25 more points than second. So I think this is a good move, though. I think this is a good move, and I can't wait to see how it plays out. But that's not the only news. I did talk about that for a long time because I think that's the biggest news we have. I mean, it matters for the whole season and for more seasons to come. So this is definitely, I think, the biggest news that has happened, but there is a lot more news. And I think the second most important thing that happened for news in like the last couple months was that 2311 settled their court case with NASCAR. Yeah, this did happen a while ago, but 2311 did settle their case with NASCAR, and it was more like NASCAR kind of did give into their demands a little bit. NASCAR, or 2311, wanted fairer, equality with NASCAR. It seemed like NASCAR was getting a ton more money. They, were getting to do whatever they want. They had full control of the charter system, who gets it and who doesn't. And it can be harder to keep your charters and stuff like that. And 2311 didn't like that. They wanted they wanted a bigger slice of the cake. They wanted their charters to be permanent with less risk of losing them. And that's exactly what they got. NASCAR settled with them, and now 2311's charters, and I think basically all other full-time chartered teams, their seats are a little bit more secure. Their charters are a little bit more secure. They can't just go away just like that. They have a little bit more control over their charters and staying in the sport, more financial stability. They're getting more revenue, what NASCAR makes and stuff like that, instead of NASCAR taking a lot of it, and the chartered teams barely making any profit, if any, and sometimes losing money from the chartered system and just in revenue. We were seeing that with a lot of other teams, like even I think Hendrick Motorsports was losing money, and like that's one of the reasons Front Row came in to sue NASCAR and have the case against NASCAR, is because Front Row was losing so much money. They weren't getting any profit. And so they wanted their charters to be permanent, less risk of losing them, and they wanted more revenue, and that's exactly what they got. So a big win for 2311 in Front Row and for the teams in general. So, and this obviously doesn't just apply to 2311 in Front Row. No, it applies to all chartered teams now. And, for people who have their own chartered teams, there's still the open teams, they do what they do, like we'll talk about them when I talk about some Daytona 500 entries. But yeah, I mean, 2311 Front Row settled with NASCAR. It was a big case. Michael Jordan obviously involved, Denny Hamlin involved, Bob Jenkins, the CEO of Front Row, involved. So it was big. It was a big time for NASCAR, and hopefully this points to good things going forward. With teams getting more share, more power, closer to equality with NASCAR and the people that own NASCAR. Obviously, it's the the family, I don't know why I'm blanking on their name right now, but the France family, that owns NASCAR, they're getting a little more equality and ownership with NASCAR, with the France family. So I think that's good. It again, I don't want to keep comparing it to other sports like stick and ball sports, but like how the NFL, they have their teams and they have a lot of power and say in what happens in the NFL. They work kind of more as an alliance, where it seemed like the France family kind of ruled as a dictatorship over the teams, but now they're getting a little more equality, more share. So it's more like they are working closer and closer together than kind of just the France family ruling over them. So I think it's a good move. 2311, front row settling with NASCAR agreeing to it. I think it does good things for for the sport in general. So good stuff there. And then I got some Daytona 500 news, but actually first I did want to mention that Steve Phelps resigned as a commissioner. Steve Phelps, also one of the big wig heads of big wigs of NASCAR, had a lot of ownership and say over what the teams did and everything. Kind of controlled the sport and did a lot of questionable things for sure. Was at the center of attention for a lot of controversial things, especially when it came to the settlement and the case against 2311 in front row. A lot of things weren't so good. Didn't look so good for him in that case. And once NASCAR had to settle with them, Steve Phelps shortly resigned thereafter. And a lot of people rejoicing for sure. And I can't say I blame them, but it's just, to me, it's just news. It's like, okay, yeah, he resigned, so what? That's kind of just what it's like to me. But hey, I guess it is what it is. And NASCAR hasn't announced anyone to take over the commissioner job, so I guess NASCAR just might not have that position anymore. So sure, sure. But now I have some news about Daytona 500 entries and stuff, because there's a lot of open cars, a lot of other people that come in. Obviously, you have all the 36 chartered cars on the teams, but then there's a lot of cars that come in after because they obviously want to run in the Daytona 500. And Jimmy Johnson is one of them. He's raced in a lot of Daytona 500 since he retired. He was in the Daytona 500 last year, ended up getting third place when he had to race as an open car to get into the race. But this year, he's not going to have to worry about that because Jimmy Johnson signed a provisional. As you guys know, last year, NASCAR came up with a provisional rule. A legendary driver who's well known in the sport or just racing in general, they can sign a provisional that guarantees them a spot in the Daytona 500. The first time it was used was obviously last year when they came up with it. Helio Castroneves, a very great IndyCar driver, multi-time Indy 500 winner, IndyCar champion. He came into the Daytona 500 racing with Trackhouse as an open car, and he signed a provisional which guaranteed him a spot into the Daytona 500. And it ended up working out for him because he did not get the positions that he needed in the duels to just get in. So he had to use that provisional to get him a spot in the Daytona 500, which ended up having more than 40 cars in the field, which is what's going to happen this year. So Jimmy Johnson signing this provisional, he's guaranteed in the Daytona 500. So we can have a 41 car field. If Jimmy Johnson doesn't get in based off of positioning in the duels, he can use this provisional and get into the race anyway, and he'll be the 41st car. So that means if that was the case, there'll still be 4 drivers that get in, and then on top of Jimmy Johnson. But if he gets in off of his positioning in the duel, that would just mean only 3 more open cars can get in, because Jimmy Johnson's the only one that is able to use this provisional. The other drivers that I'm going to list, they don't have that, glamour. They don't have that record, of being a legendary driver. Jimmy Johnson definitely counts as one of those drivers. 7-time champion, over 80 wins, something like that. He is one of those drivers that can use that, especially because he was a NASCAR driver. But yeah, if he doesn't have that good of positioning in the duels, he can just use that provisional and he'll be in the Daytona 500 as the 41st car. But we have other drivers that are going to be trying to get into the Daytona 500. Justin Allgaier, probably the biggest name that's going to make a return. Allgaier Junior Motorsports, they made their first NASCAR Cup start in the 2025 Daytona 500. Justin Allgaier, racing as an open driver, had to qualify in the duels to be able to make it in, and he did. He ended up having a good enough position to make it into the Daytona 500. A great moment for Junior Motorsports and Dale Earnhardt Jr., of course, but they have to do it again in order to get into the Daytona 500. And last year they ended up finishing 10th too, so hopefully they can recreate those moments, run good enough, run fast enough to be able to qualify for the Daytona 500 again, second year in a row doing it. So hopefully, again, like I said, they can get into the actual race again. But we'll just have to wait and see. It's going to be tough because there is a decent amount of other drivers that are racing for it. The first one that I wrote down, BJ McLeod, Live Fast Motorsports, of course, in that 78 car. He often tries to qualify for the Daytona 500. He's tried doing it for multiple years. He has got in before to the actual race. Hopefully he can do it again this year. Casey Mears is going to be running with the 66 car. Last year, they tried getting Mike Wallace to run the 66 car, but he wasn't eligible. So they ended up getting Cam Smith or Chandler Smith, I can't remember, the Truck Series driver with Front Row Motorsports. He tried getting into the race, but I think he ended up missing it because he crashed in the duel. So the 66, Garage 66 is what they're called. They didn't get in last year. Maybe with Casey Mears in the wheel, they'll be able to do it, because Casey Mears did run a select amount of races with them last year in some other races. So maybe he will be able to have that speed and qualify this year. And then you got the 62 car with Beard Motorsports, unconfirmed who is in the ride. So we don't know who is going to be in the 62 car. Anthony Alfredo is often run in the 62 car. Some are speculating it might be someone like Jesse Love or Austin Hill. We'll get to that, but maybe it'll be someone different this year. Maybe Alfredo won't be in this car to qualify, but it could be someone else. We'll just have to wait and see. But I would put my money between Jesse Love and Anthony Alfredo still, because Anthony Alfredo obviously has run with Beard Motorsports multiple times to qualify for the Daytona 500. I'm pretty sure he has gotten into the Daytona 500 before, so maybe he'll do it again. We'll just wait and see. But then next we have J.J. Yaley, who has, again, also often run to try to get into the Daytona 500. And he's going to be doing it once again with the 44 car with NY Racing. And, I don't know. It's definitely been a while since J.J. Yaley has raced in a Daytona 500. I know he didn't last year, and I think the year before that, in 2024, he also didn't. So it's been a rough couple of years with J.J. Yaley trying to get into the Daytona 500. He has run good in the duels, and I just feel like he's been screwed last second, with people getting ahead of him. But hopefully this year he'll be able to do it. I would definitely like to see him in the Daytona 500, and I definitely think he deserves it. So hopefully J.J. Yaley, this year's the year he can do it for once. He can finally do it and be able to get in. So yeah, J.J. Yaley, another driver confirmed for the Daytona 500 to at least try to qualify for it. Another confirmed car is the 33 RCR cars. The 33 RCR car has often run in the Daytona 500 as well. Also ran a select amount of races in 2025 as well. And often whenever they run the 33 RCR car in a super speedway race, it's often been Austin Hill. And there is people speculating that it could be Jesse Love in the seat this time. But, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Jesse Love actually takes the 62 car and Austin Hill stays in the 33 car, and you have two, O'Reilly Series RCR cars, or drivers that end up, trying to qualify for the Daytona 500. So you never know. The 33 car would definitely either be Jesse Love or Austin Hill. And then you never know with the 62 car. It could be Anthony Alfredo, but it could also be Jesse Love or Austin Hill in that car as well. We'll just have to wait and see, though. But guaranteed an O'Reilly Series RCR driver is going to be in this car because they've done that basically every time they've run out their 33 RCR car. So would definitely expect it to be Austin Hill or Jesse Love. But yeah. And then this one I put as a question mark. It might be confirmed. It might not. I would expect them to run this car. I would expect them to do it, perhaps. We'll just have to wait and see because they have before. And they ran a lot of races with this car last year, even in non-drafting track races. It'd be the 67 2311 car. And if this car ends up trying to qualify for the Daytona 500, which I think they will, the 67 car would be driven by Corey Heim. You guys know Corey Heim, amazing driver in the truck series, won the championship last year, won over 10 races, I think. He was just an amazing driver, and now he doesn't even have a full-time truck ride, which is actually kind of crazy. So we'll just have to wait and see what he does this year, but I think, this is still questionable. Like, it's not confirmed, I don't think, but I would expect the 2311 67 car to run for the Daytona 500, and I would expect them to put Corey Heim in the seat for it. So I would hope that's what they do anyway. I would love to see Corey Heim try to qualify for the Daytona 500, or maybe they put someone else in it. I highly doubt they would put anyone else in that 67 car because every time they rode the 67 car in 2025, it was Corey Heim. So I would expect it would be Corey Heim. Again, I don't think this is 100% confirmed, but I would definitely expect them to do this. But yeah, those are all the confirmed and possibly confirmed Daytona 500 drivers. So how many drivers is that? I didn't count. So Jimmy Johnson also obviously has a guaranteed spot. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4 would be the max amount that they can get. 5, 6, 7, possibly 7 open cars running for the Daytona 500 besides Jimmy Johnson, who took the provisional. So that could mean 3 or 4 drivers could be eliminated, because if Jimmy Johnson gets in off of positioning, that would only mean 3 open cars can make it into the Daytona 500. But if Jimmy Johnson has to use that provisional, 4 open cars can make it into the Daytona 500 besides him. So we could see a decent amount of eliminations in the duels here. And, I like the duels. I like the intensity just to make the race. If you don't perform good enough, you don't make the race. So I think this is a pretty cool opportunity for these drivers. I will definitely be watching the duels when they happen. And yeah, this should be very exciting. And then just in other news, we got Tony Stewart is returning. This is getting to be a long video, so I'll be going a little bit quicker on these last things. But Tony Stewart is returning into NASCAR, and he's going to be running in the Truck Series at Daytona. And I think the last race they said Tony Stewart ran in NASCAR was in 2016, which is that's actually crazy. It's been over 10 years. Well, wait, no, it'll be around 10 years since Tony Stewart has ran in NASCAR at all, like just in any series in general. I can't remember the last time he's ran a Truck Series race, but hey, he's going to be running in the Truck Series. That's going to be absolutely crazy. So Tony Stewart returning, going to be running in the Truck Series at Daytona in the Ram Truck Series. So Colleague, he'll be racing with Colleague in their new Ram trucks. That's another thing I forgot to mention, is that Ram is coming back into the series. Obviously Dodge, it's Dodge. But Dodge is coming back to the series. They're going to be running their Ram trucks. So that's going to be really exciting, and we'll see, what Dodge does in the future. Maybe they try to come back to the Cup Series. Maybe they'll come into the O'Reilly Series as well. But it would be pretty cool if we get a 4th manufacturer that becomes, a pretty big force in NASCAR, because, for the last few years, we've only had 3 manufacturers in Chevy, Toyota, and Ford. But now we got Dodge in the series, in the Truck Series at least. maybe they're gonna eventually try to build their way up to come into the Cup Series or O'Reilly Series. So that would be cool. Also, another driver returning to the Truck Series is Jimmy Johnson. He's going to be running at Coronado, the Coronado Naval Base in the Truck Series. He's also going to be doing it for the Cup Series, but yeah, pretty cool that he's going to be running in the Truck Series. It's been so long since he's ran in the Truck Series. Also, Ricky Stenhouse, I'm pretty sure, is running in the Truck Series for the first time in his career. I forgot who he's driving for. I'm sorry, I kind of forgot that and I didn't write it down here, but that's just something I remembered. He is going to be making his Truck Series debut at Daytona, so that's also pretty cool. But Jimmy Johnson, like I said, he's going to be running in the Truck Series at the San Diego Coronado Naval Base. He'll also be running in the Cup Series for that race. Obviously, Jimmy Johnson, San Diego native, so of course that's why he wants to do that. So 2 confirmed Cup Series races for Jimmy Johnson in 2026 and a truck race for him in 2026. So pretty cool stuff there. I don't think he has a confirmed O'Reilly Series spot, and maybe he won't race in the O'Reilly Series because that'd just be crazy. He'd be running in the Truck Series, O'Reilly Series, and the Cup Series. 3 races for old Jimmy Johnson. I don't know if he wants to do that, but he's got 2 confirmed rides for that weekend, which will be in the summer. So pretty cool stuff there. But like I said, also Tony Stewart returning to NASCAR for the first time in around a decade, and he's going to be doing it in the Truck Series at Daytona with the newly formed Dodge Ram trucks in Colleague equipment. So should be pretty interesting stuff there. Should be definitely really, really interesting. And then also just a little news bit. Obviously talked about it a little bit before, but Connor Zilisch rookie year in the Cup Series should be really fun to see him. He's the only rookie in the Cup Series, so automatic rookie of the year for him, I guess. So early congratulations on him for early rookie of the year for the Cup Series. But yeah, we'll just wait and see what Connor Zilisch is able to do in the Cup Series. Like I said, I did say that I think he will get a win in the Cup Series. I think he's going to win a road course or something. He still might not make the chase with the 16 drivers because, even if you get a win, like said, it's not a win in your in format. So even if he gets a win, he could still, not be good enough throughout the rest of the season, and he wouldn't make the top 16 drivers even with that win. But we'll just wait and see. I do think he'll get a win. Hopefully he performs, really well. But, you also got to remember he's just a rookie. He's also still really young. So if he doesn't have a great season, I don't think it would be fair to criticize him unless he finishes like under 30th. Well, maybe like if he's like the worst driver or like the second or third worst driver. If he was like a Riley Herbst of last year, then I think some criticism would be fair, but I would expect him to be all right. And if he's like not, amazing, like let's say under 25th in points or something like that, I don't think it would be fair to criticize him necessarily. Just his rookie year, I think, like I said, I think he'll get a win, but for the rest of the season, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see though. But Connor Zilisch rookie year should be pretty exciting, to be honest, especially what he did in the O'Reilly Series last year. Should be pretty exciting. And then in other news, just scheduling. We got the Clash at Bowman Gray in less than 2 weeks now. It's Monday, and I think the cars hit the track either Friday or Saturday with qualifying and practice, or with the heat races and stuff like that. It might be Friday, it might be Saturday that they first get out on track. I can't remember, but less than 2 weeks until the official Clash at Bowman Gray race, because that'll be on a Sunday. But less than 2 weeks away. Got 13 days until the Clash at Bowman Gray, the first race of the season. Obviously not a regular season race. It's just an exhibition race, kind of like the All-Star race. Doesn't count for points or anything. But I think that will be fun. Finally, NASCAR is going to be back. He'll literally be here before you guys even realize. Like, man, it's like the off season has gone by so fast, and I thank God for that because, man, I've missed NASCAR for sure, and I'm gonna be glad to have it back. And then, of course, we have the Daytona 500 race in less than a month as well. So, it's coming up fast. This stuff is coming up fast, boys and girls. So, man, we gotta get ready for it. It's gonna be fun. Daytona 500 in less than a month. Busch Clash in less than 2 weeks. Man, we're almost there, boys and girls. It's gonna be great. Can't wait for it to start. Obviously I'll still be busy with the things like I said, but I will be able to make a video on the Daytona 500 for sure, like I said. Hopefully I'm able to consistently make videos, but it might be, once a week, maybe, if that. I might even go more than a week without posting a video. But I hope you guys, you'll stick around. Hopefully you guys will stick around and still enjoy the videos whenever I'm able to make one. During these next few months. But yeah, like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think. What are you most excited for the NASCAR season? And I'll see you in the next one.